Hello, dear friends. Darkness is pressing in hardest just before the light breaks through. Opinion piece. Guardians of sun rising. Truth is invisible. Abundance is natural. Architects of the new era. Something big is unfolding. Phase of maximum mental pressure. Let's start. We are in the final stretch of the deepest, most complex information war in human history, according to Guardian Daniel. For almost a decade, sovereignists around the world have been preparing for this exact phase. What appeared to be to the uninformed as loose connection of internet activists is now revealed as a precisely trained global banquet. Every enigma decoded, every hour of waiting, and every wave of censorship served only one purpose: to forge a resilient infrastructure for the unavoidable end. The foundation for this preparation was not an accident, but a meticulous curriculum. Years of intensive study of the drops of the unspeakable letter developed the ability to see behind the curtain of manipulated media and to recognize patterns of irregular and conventional warfare. This great awakening had to begin strictly with a small global group. You cannot pour a fundamental truth onto billions of people overnight without unleashing massive global panic and the collapse of the social mind. That required pioneers, a small elite of mentally resilient truth seekers who were willing to digest the initial shock, who stand the ridicule of the slumbering masses, and organized the information. This group acted as a catalyst, creating the mental foundation that is now reaching its peak as the old system collapses before the eyes of the entire world. However, the true and most fundamental role of the Anonymous will only begin when emergency broadcasting system is activated and the uncensored truth reaches all of humanity. When screens around the world display the crimes of the old elite, the reality of the courts, and the end of the corrupt fiat monetary system, most of the population will be plunged into a state of shock, disbelief, and disorientation. In that moment of collective awakening, you will be the beacons of light. We will not be there to blame anyone saying, "I told you so, and you didn't believe me," but to provide stability. No one will be able to claim ignorance or that they weren't informed by us. Our mission will be to calmly explain the events, soothe fear, and act as emotional and intellectual anchors for our families, neighbors, and communities. You are the architects of the new era, guiding the transition to the GISRA program and the new quantum financial system QFS. It feels incredibly difficult to maintain composure at this absolute finish line because the darkness presses in harder just before the light breaks through. We are in the phase of maximum mental pressure, where the old structure launches its last disparate instructions and psychological operations. However, surrendering now so close to the finish line would mean abandoning the fight at the last minute. Your unwavering courage is the coalition's invisible defensive line on the home front. Stand firm, trust in the legal armor of the protocols, and remain in the light. Reflections. The West is losing its superiority amid European media. When injustice is systemic, the consequences are flight, resistance, fight resistance and revolt, according to Charles Hugh Smith. The word alcohol comes from the Arabic al-kul, which means spirit that eats the body. Quantitative easing has made housing more expensive for young people, along with extreme environmentalism, sky-high taxes, and the globalist package from the Davos Forum, according to Benjamin Fulford. Your life is not controlled by the conscious mind, which is based on desires and wishes. It is controlled by the unconscious, programmed by observing other people. It can heal you or make you sick. Something big is developing behind the scenes, according to Stephanie Starr. People are starting to question everything in real time. Amid rising geopolitical tensions, covert operations, intelligence activity, and military deployment, massive online speculation can quickly become a national security concern because once the public begins to believe, intelligence operations are carried out in plain sight and the information environment becomes unstable. Neil Oliver calls the current situation absurd and ridiculous, saying that the bad guys have become so obvious that it's difficult to stay focused. He then states that old empires fall, from Egypt and Babylon to Rome, because it's in their nature to grow, inflate, and burst. History shows that empires always fall because barbarians are always waiting. He claims that the barbarians didn't start this, but they will finish it, and that the writing is on the wall. Quoting the Book of Daniel, he says that people are increasingly being educated on the fiction of the official narrative. Only on the lower planes are we deceived by something or a condition disguised as something else, according to Poet Dog. Truth is invisible. We only see the truth we know when we hide it. This is one of the reasons why one group of people cannot agree on a common reality with another one. It is the same reality, but it looks different to each person. Many people have died or suffered greatly from disputing a common reality. This is what happens with religions. Abundance. Scarcity is artificial, and abundance is natural. A new book, The Abundance Code, argues that scarcity of food, energy, health, and housing is not a natural condition, but a deliberate construct of the elite to maintain control. According to the book, natural systems generate abundance, and artificial scarcity is a deception used to impose dependence and obedience. The book concludes that abundance is the natural state of life and that people can liberate themselves by making conscious choices that foster self-sufficiency. It proposes a personal declaration of independence centered on health sovereignty, a decentralized economy, and the use of honest currencies like gold and silver. The final message is that reclaiming abundance is not a theoretical exercise, but a daily practice of rejecting artificial scarcity. Breaking news. Iran and the US reached a preliminary ceasefire agreement after the latest attacks. Israel reacts with arms to the US-Iran agreement. This is what the agreement contains according to Iranian state television. First, the US lifts the naval blockade. Second, Iran reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Third, the US withdraws from Iranian territory. Fourth, Iran dismantles its nuclear enrichment program. Oil prices plummeted 7% when the leak occurred. Economy. The quiet collapse beneath the market surface is getting louder. The US and India signed a pact for the extraction of critical minerals and rare earth elements. Dozens of nations are vying for World Bank funding amid the global crisis triggered by the Iran war. Iraq not. Europe. Brussels wants to revolutionize rail transport with a single ticketing system. European gas reserves cannot survive 3 more months after the Hormuz storm. Foreign investment in Germany has plummeted to its lowest level since 2009. The collapse in tax revenues in Germany is a sign of industrial collapse. Angela Merkel receives the EU's Order of Merit for helping to destroy Europe. A heat wave turns May into August in Spain. Thermal descent will begin next Tuesday in Spain. The Pentagon conducts its first military exercise in Venezuela since Maduro's fall. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.